and welcome to A Review to a Kill, the James Bond retrospective podcast where we rewatch every Bond from Connery to Craig to review and rank each one. I'm your host, Special Agent Sedgwick, and returning for this debrief is an agent that can see through Felix's disguises.
Chris Carter.
Today, we are reviewing The Man with the Golden Gun, the 9th Bond outing from Eon Productions. The film premiered at the Odeon Leicester Square in London on the 19th of December, 1974. The film was a low earner with mixed reviews. Made for $7 million, it made $97.6 million in the box office. Most reviews of the era praised Christopher Lee while bashing the film, and even more. You know how last time I was like, hey, they didn't make him act like Connery. This time they tried to, and it didn't work.
This movie sucked.
For the last time, produced by the Brock and Salt Connection, Roger Moore returning. The Man with the Golden Gun was Fleming's last Bond novel and was published posthumously. It was about a nothing special thug with a special gun in Jamaica. They wanted to make this movie after You Only Live Twice in Cambodia with Roger Moore, since they'd done Jamaica twice already. Again, sites set on Cambodia and Vietnam, but Vietnam War. Okay, Iran and Israel, which were also out due to the Yom Kippur War. So we ended up in Thailand and the Phuket Islands.
Yes, good old fuck it.
The fucking Islands. In Bond news this month, they are auctioning off Bond memorabilia for the 60th anniversary, and an Aston Martin is expected to get $2 million. Also, I can't believe we didn't say this last time, but we lost the Queen.
God save the Queen.
The dots roll out, but are oddly yellowed before the Bond plate literally pops in. The impossible shimmering light is gone from inside the barrel, but other than that, it's exactly the same as last time. I'd say this was even better without the shimmering gun barrel. The dots open on an idyllic scene of Andrea Anders, played by Maud Adams, lounging on a beach of a then mostly deserted island, now known as the James Bond Island, and is also now a tourist resort.
Of course, because, they know where their money comes from.
Knick-Knack, immortalized by Hervé Villechaize, brings a tray of champagne and oysters as Francisco Scaramanga, portrayed by Christopher Lee, comes out of the water to meet them. Anders towels him down, and we get the reveal of Scaramanga's third nipple.
I was so pleased to see a young Herv. That little guy, he's precious. He's a precious commodity in this world.
That alcoholic womanizer was a precious commodity to this world.
Yes, he was.
By the way, they had a landing strip cut into the jungle and stayed in a brothel that they paid off for 10 days. No hotels this time, or anything really but a roof. Though, it is a Bond shoot, so Christopher Lee was shocked to learn that the champagne and oysters were very real and not prop food and liquor.
I didn't know that.
Knick-Knack pops the bubbly and we focus on Anders looking distraught. Knick-Knack then walks to the other side of the house and the island and greets an incoming Rodney from Diamonds Are Forever. Mark Lawrence returns, playing the same character here and was very much not on that island.
No, he wasn't on the island.
But better compositing than Connery's era, so.
Yes, much better. I'm not saying it's a better movie. I'm just saying production values seem to be better.
Just because I'm from Louisiana, I have to say Scaramanga calls out for Tabasco. It's like obligated of me to point that out. The pint-sized oddjob leads Rodney inside, and the sets and photography are already working together to mess with our brains while setting up the character of this evil lair, which is important because the lair has a personality. It is a character in the movie more than a lair.
So, I have to say, I appreciated pretty much all of the sets in this movie, far more than the movie itself.
It's something. They're all right, I guess. I could have taken them or leaving them. The funhouse was well done.
I didn't dig the color palette as much, but the sets themselves were pretty cool.
Speaking of color palette, Scaramanga's house is a 70s mansion and the Garden of Eden mixed together. A halo of silver and white lights above with stone and plants from floor to ceiling surrounding wood, gold, and those 70s classics, mustard yellow, puke green, and shit brown.
So much wood and brown. Oh my God, what were people doing in the 70s?
Jokes aside, this set is inspired with Asian influence abound. Knick-Knack pays the gangster to murder his boss and leads him to what appears to be a rec room. He gives him an envelope full of money saying, "Half, you get the rest later," and leaves him. This room is so goddamn Kennedamian. There's a bar in the very back with a super shot carnival game. But what gets me is there's a pommel horse in the foreground and a carousel horse tucked off.
Gymkhana.
Cut to Knick-Knack bringing Tabasco to his boss while letting him know his steam bath is ready. Inside, Rodney catches Scaramanga off guard and laughs for a second before shooting it, which is a bad idea because the lights go dark red all of a sudden. Rodney fires, but Scaramanga has ducked behind some equipment.
This whole scene bothered me from a tactical standpoint.
Well, my cousin Die Hard, he said, when you have a chance to shoot someone, don't hesitate.
No, not even that. There's not much to hide behind in the room. I don't understand why Rodney just didn't run over there and shoot him.
We see Knick-Knack in small slits above the bar watching. Scaramanga does the whole toss something one way and launch herself another way bit to get behind a couch. He reaches up for his gun cabinet, but it's locked. "Oh, that would have been too easy," Knick-Knack teases as we cut to him in his tidy, sterile control room. A myriad of buttons and knobs, a removable interface for some reason, monitors, and 2 old large tape players spinning, even though they aren't spooled. And I'm not kidding, you can see the ends flapping.
Yeah, you could see the ends flapping. I noticed that. They like to use a whole bunch of high-tech stuff in this, but they had no understanding of what any of that stuff was.
Why was there a removable interface in it? Like, what did you need to, like, store some data and take it somewhere else?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty stupid.
This is where he controls the lights, sounds, and other effects. What effects? Like circle lights, and a projection of Scaramanga's face, and a whole literal funhouse of other jump scares, mirrors, and perspective tricks. A skeleton jump scares Rodney. Then an animatronic cowboy, who's actually just played by Leslie Crawford, exits a saloon facade firing, and Rodney fires back, wasting ammo.
Yes.
An Al Capone mannequin, who's actually a person also, played by Ray Maroney, fires a Tommy gun, but Rodney shoots with his pistol, causing the dummy to become disarmed. Literally and figuratively.
Oh, I love how the arms just pop off.
He got shot with a pistol. "Hey, Al, wherever you are, don't hold it against me." Rodney sweats,
Oh my god.
praying to a mannequin of Al Capone.
This is where it kind of started to go off the rails.
I get some people believe, especially now because they forced it to be, that Bond should be like a comedy. Like, some people think it should straight be a comedy like this crap, and I have no idea why. This is a desecration of everything Connery did. Connery made jokes, but it was like cool. They were like one-liners. They were like witty after he killed someone. He wasn't a comedian.
Yeah, the previous Bond movies were not comedies, or even trying to be action comedies.
I think what screwed us was how well he delivered the one-liners in Live and Let Die.
Mm-hmm.
And it made them swing more towards comedy in this. And I'm saying that because I heard an interview where they literally said that.
Oh, really? They were really shooting for comedy.
A big reason this movie is a tonal mess is because, as we've said before, they literally tried to have their cake and eat it too. They tried to go back and make him act like Connery.
Mm-hmm.
Also, up the comedy from last time, bringing in stuff from last time, even if it didn't even really work this time.
That's unfortunate.
The music is kind of nuts here, but it's so fitting it works. Knick-Knack teases Scaramanga about his golden gun as a spotlight highlights its location. Scaramanga reaches for it, but hits a mirror. "Ha ha, I fooled you."
But how?
The mirrors? I don't know.
Yeah.
He claims the work of the mirrors.
He claims the work of the mirrors, yes.
Rodney is perched to snipe if anyone goes for the gun, and he's camping hard. There's a staircase in between Scaramanga and his gun, and Knick-Knack hints that he'll die if he takes too long on the stairs. If you haven't gotten it by now, Knick-Knack just brings prey to his boss. He doesn't actually try to get him killed. Quite the opposite. He's literally telling him how to stay alive here.
Right.
Scaramanga flips a switch, and the stairs turn into a slide, and he slides down on his soles and rolls for the gun, shooting Rodney between the eyes. That was for Plenty O'Toole, asshole. She has now been avenged.
Poor Plenty.
The lights come on, and we see Roger Moore in a lot of makeup pretending to be a wax figure of himself.
That wasn't a wax figure?
Our titular character shoots 4 shots and shoots off 4 of Bond's dummy's fingers. But as we zoom in on Roger's face, we hear a 5th shot, and the dummy has thumbs later, so what did he shoot here? I think the dick.
I'm pretty sure the dick.
With a blast of fanfare and a hard cut to a woman's face, we are in the title sequence, using the ripple effect a la Thunderball yet again. And why though?
You know what I put in my notes? I put, there's so much water in this. There better be a fucking fuck ton of water in the movie. If I had no idea what movie I was going into, I would assume it would be aquatic.
You would think from the titles, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know what else to do, I guess. The song lyrics make blunt, literal sense. Take from that what you will.
I've heard better music in porn of the time.
Oh god, yeah, the music is terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Terrible.
Absolutely fucking terrible.
Terrible. The silhouettes are pedantic.
Yeah, the visuals are phoned in, lazy, and then the song is terrible.
And then you have imagery of stroking a gun sensually. What in the fuck is that?
Christopher Lee was suggested to play Dr. No for the first film, but Joseph Wiseman was already cast. Jack Palance was offered Scaramanga for this film, but turned it down, and they cast Lee, who was real-life cousin to Ian Fleming, and also served in British intelligence during the Second World War. They also played golf together at Royal St. George's Sandwich, which is where they shot the Goldfinger golf scenes.
Nice.
Assistant director Derek Cracknell with Elaine Shriek back for continuity's sake. Peter Lamont sharing art direction with John Graysmart with Derek Medding's miniatures. But the real story here is John motherfucking Steers back for special effects.
Good job, John Steers.
One thing I'm not mad about in this film was the stunts and special effects.
You're right.
Casting by our British boy, Weston Drury Jr., and our second Maud Spector. I think she may be a mole. Funny name this time, Santa Pestonji.
His parents named him Saint. That is a bold outlook for your child. Just saying.
You're putting a high bar on his shoulders.
You're setting a bar.
Filmed in Panavision, thank God. The episodes look way better when they do it in Panavision. The last one looked lame.
There are good things about this movie, except for the movie.
I was drinking, dude.
Sorry.
2 editors, thank God again. John Shirley and Raymond Poulton. Main titles by Maurice Binder, who gave himself the treatment.
And it was the treatment. This fucking title sequence was almost porn.
He was really good once, and he has the skill, but he just lacks the creativity. The best titles are when he apes other people's ideas, and you could tell when he just doesn't.
Yeah, when he's not on.
Just doing his same old.
Right.
And it just gets less and less appealing each time.
Oh, yeah. Each time.
Directors of photography, Ted motherfucking Moore and Oswald Morris. How is Ted Moore not enough for you guys? This is Ted give the man a BAFTA more. He doesn't need Oswald Morris. Music by John Barry, title song by Lulu. It's fast-paced, lively, energetic, synonym, whatever.
And crap.
If it's your cup of tea, I'm sure people enjoy this song. I thought it was beyond annoying and I couldn't wait for it to be over.
Like I said, I've heard better music and porn.
Screenplay by Tom Mankiewicz, for some reason. Then rewritten by OG Richard Maybaum. Then rewritten again by Tom Mankiewicz. Don't ask me, I don't know.
I don't either.
Decisions were made.
Well, okay, yeah, decisions were made. It didn't fix anything. They took him to rewrite the rewrite they did of his first script.
Yeah, so it's Frankenstein to hell, and it shows.
Yeah.
Produced by Broccoli Head and Salty Man, directed by Guy Hamilton, end on a musical sting, hard cut to black, before hard cutting to Bond, walking into M's office. Grinning, he says, "Good morning, sir," and enters, before addressing the other 2 men in the office, Calthrop, played by James Cossins, and someone he calls Chief of Staff. Now this is Bill Tanner, like in Dr. No when they called Q Boothroyd, but the character will be known as Tanner moving forward. He's played by Michael Goodliff.
So they establish his title in one movie and never use it again.
It's like, oh, it's the secretary to say, oh, what's up, Tanner? M asks Bond what he knows about Scaramanga, and Bond info-brags Scaramanga's whole life story to a creepy and campy detail.
I thought to myself, what the fuck? Did he just read the wiki on this guy? Like, he knows everything.
He was a circus kid trick shot turned KGB assassin, now in it for himself at $1 million a hit. Oh, and he has 3 nips.
And yeah, and like, how is that common knowledge?
No one knows anything about him or what he looks like, but Bond knows everything about him and that he has 3 nips.
But they know he has 3 nipples.
They just remember a small boy in the circus showing off his chest a lot.
Yes.
M gives Bond a golden bullet with 007 etched into it, and Bond scoffs, "Who'd pay $1 million to have me killed?" Jealous husbands, outraged chefs, humiliated tailors. M says without hesitation.
That's the most funny shit for me, is when M roast Bond because he knows that Bond is a fuck off.
M takes him off duty, so the 70s energy crisis isn't fucked by Bond getting shot on duty.
It's too bad they didn't establish that there was an energy crisis before he took him off the energy crisis job.
My whole thing is we can't have you out on the job because you might get killed on the job, but they're 00 agents. They're expendable for a reason because they might get killed on all their jobs.
You send them on jobs that are potentially suicide missions, but please don't be killed by an assassin doing your job.
Logic. M reminds Bond no one knows what Scaramanga looks like, so he has an edge on Bond, admitting that Bond is famous.
Right? Stop going to the Playboy Mansion. Stop going to world-famous casinos. Just stop.
And stop using your real name.
Right? Be a secret agent. That's what you are.
Bond leaves to go find his hitman first. In Moneypenny's office, he asks about an old 002 named Bill Fairbanks, who was shot by the man with the golden gun in Beirut with a cabaret girl named Saida. But they never found the bullet. Moneypenny, you're better than a computer. In all sorts of ways, but you never take advantage of them.
An excellent Moneypenny flirt.
Cut to a club in Beirut, where Bond is watching a belly dancer and eyeing her naval charm, which looks a lot like a smashed golden bullet. Carmer de Satoy plays the dancing Saida here.
She was alright.
I hate her nose.
Kinda had a horse face.
When she finishes, she heads to the back and Bond follows, and we see 3 goons watching him. Terrence Plummer, who did work on The Saint, George Silver, and Rocky Taylor play the goons here. In her dressing room, Bond asks about Fairbanks, and she says she was in his arms, eyes closed, when he was shot, and didn't see who did it. Well, at least he died happy.
Stupid. Do they just let anybody walk backstage in a cabaret?
Yes. And they immediately start making out with them, too.
Especially if you were a white man.
Hell yeah. Look at that jacket.
Hell yeah.
The bullet passed through his neck and into the wall, and she got it out before the police arrived, taking evidence of the murder she witnessed and keeping it as a macabre, lucky souvenir. Creepy bitch.
Creepy bitch. At first I thought it was greed. I mean, gold bullet and whatnot, but nah, she's keeping this.
They make out, and Bond tries to straight grab her charm, and she grabs his hand, knowing full well what he's doing, and just puts it on her ass. He knocks over a lipstick tube and bends down to pretend to grab it, kissing her stomach over and over before sucking the charm out of her navel as the goons come up behind him and pat his back really hard before grabbing him, just so we can have a comedic attempt with Bond choking on the charm.
I don't understand the tonality of this movie.
Tom Mankiewicz. He hates Bond. He hates Q for sure, and he definitely hates Bond, and he wanted to write this franchise into the grave in the 70s.
Apparently. And he tried his best.
The fight is a little slow, but it's definitely not stiff. It has brutal moments like Bond slamming a dude's head into a wall over and over, but it also has corny bits like him macing goons with perfume.
It wasn't as bad as a Sean Connery fight scene in a small cloistered space, but it wasn't fantastic either.
Connery's elevator fight in Diamonds Are Forever was way better than this.
Oh, yeah. No, it was. And the train fight was really good, too.
A 1,000,000 times better, yeah.
The fight scenes were mediocre.
She screams she's lost her charm, and he says, "Not from where I'm standing," as he leaves. And this scene felt like the normal pre-title bit, instead of the villain hangout with no real Bond.
Right, yeah. Would have been a better pre-title sequence, in my opinion.
Cut to Q's lab, where Q is back, baby, with Colthorpe looking at the bullet and calling it a dum-dum bullet, which is a hollow point. It's somehow in one piece, and he knows, even though it's deformed, exactly what caliber gun fired it by the weight of the gold, and that's bullshit.
Kinda bullshit.
Oh, it was fired by a 4.2 millimeter gun, which doesn't exist, by the way.
It doesn't exist.
Bond, having had to pass the bullet, really hopes it wasn't for nothing, and they can find a way to trace it. They say it should be impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, that gold to nickel ratio is from Far East, and it looks like Lazar's work. Yeah, I concur, it's Lazar. Yeah, go see Lazar. As a wall explodes in the background. Q-Lab shit.
I don't appreciate the fact that they reduced Q to a CSI investigator.
And a political rambler.
And a political rambler. He knew all about regions and yeah.
He's far more concerned with politics in this movie than gadgets, and it was fucking weird. Like I said, Mankiewicz hates Q.
Yeah.
So what the fuck did James go to Beirut for? And I want you to think about this. Why did he have to have that bit with the naval bullet to figure this out? I'm serious. Because Scaramanga sent him a bullet, and they could have done the exact same trace test in leapfrogging to figure out Lazar made the round. It's like the nickel-gold ratio.
That's what I was wondering too. Is like, you guys got an unmarked bullet with his fingerprint.
It's impossible to trace. Oh, it's like 3% nickel, 97% gold. Oh, it's Lazar.
Yeah.
You guys could have told me that with the last bullet.
Yeah, sure could have. And I don't know how they got that chemical composition just by looking at it from a microscope.
It's an electronic spectrographic microscope made in a Q-Lab.
Okay, I'll buy that. No, I won't.
And that's our Q gadget, folks.
Oh, I won't buy that.
I just made that up. Lazar is the Portuguese chap in Macau that made the bullet. So, cut to an establishing shot of the Casino de Macau. Macau was handed to the Chinese in '99, but back then was still a Portuguese colony.
Yep.
We see Bond in a pedicab pulling up to an open front shop in a bazaar, looking for Lazar. He interrupts a poor family trying to enjoy their ramen and asks them for Lazar, who appears from behind them.
I loved that little stone-faced child at the beginning of this scene.
Lazar, played by Marn Maitland, tells Bond his reputation precedes him after Bond's catchphrase introduction. Smiling Lazar takes the celebrity spy that hangs out with Hef, but looks different now for some reason, into the back of his shop.
Roger Moore looks good in a suit. He does. I like the cut of his jib.
Still grinning ear to ear, Lazar shows off his craftsmanship and quality. He shows Bond a rifle for a client that lost 2 fingers and now had to have a special gun that you squeeze the butt of to fire. And when Bond fires, it's an inch too low because of his extra 2 fingers. Bond asks if he can make gold bullets, to which Lazar brags he already has. I know you have, Francisco Scaramanga. Lazar stiffens for a moment of shock, but is immediately waved over with an ego stroke again, smiling and doing the slight subconscious version of the D'Lo Brown head wiggle that someone does when satisfied with themselves. He says, my clientele's reputation with me is strictly confidential. Bond points the odd rifle at the man's penis and says, speak now or forever hold your peace. Like they say at weddings, but about his peace.
Or forever hold your peace.
The man says, no, I can't, and Bond fires, but Lazar is unharmed. Bond says, you're quite right. An inch too low, and loads another round.
At this point, I'm thinking to myself, this guy makes weapons for a living, for criminals. Why does he not have like a gun handy for this exact fucking situation?
I have no idea.
You would think, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
it's logic.
It makes sense. Right, logic. This movie had none of it.
Lazar buckles and shows him a cigarette case filled with 5 golden bullets he passes off in a casino drop. We then cut to that casino, which is one the crew and cast gambled at, with Broccoli acting as daddy moneybags when people were down. This is the floating Macau Palace Casino, and Lazar sits at a popular Asian game called Sikbo or Daisu, double dice or precious dice. Players sit at a table and baskets are dropped for wagers, among other things. Lazar takes the box of bullets and he puts it in the fucking basket. Sorry, couldn't help it.
I know. My whole thing is, at $1 million a hit, how come you can only afford 5 bullets?
Bond watches Andrea Anders raise the basket and pull the box before tipping the table man and cheesing it with Bond and tail. Cut to a hydrofoil, called the Flying Sandpiper, a vessel that is still in operation today for passengers. Inside, James is still following Anders from a couple of rows back. Outside, we see the partly submerged wreck of the RMS Queen Elizabeth.
I kind of remember news stories about that.
Wow, that's how old he is.
Yeah, I'm fucking old.
On dry land in Hong Kong, Anders gets into a 1969 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. Bond calls a 1971 Datsun 20C taxi, but at that very moment, a 1973 MGB Mark II screeches in front of them. "Miss, could you move this infernal bedpan?" Bond is not an MG fan.
No. I love MGs. I think they're great little cars.
Till they break down.
Then you might as well buy a new car.
"Sorry, James, I just got here." "Oh, hello, Miss Goodnight. Thanks for letting them get away," he says as he just nonchalantly gets his stuff from the taxi instead of diving in and saying, "Catch that Rolls Royce. That's chauffeur driven and probably going slowly and definitely the speed limit tops." He berates her some more for no reason and then condescends her for not knowing that he meant Rolls Royce automatically from the word rolls. Not everyone watches Top Gear.
This movie has issues.
He also implies that there can't be very many green Rolls Royces in Hong Kong in the 70s. She laughs at his arrogance as she already knows all green Rolls Royces belong to the Peninsula Hotel. "Now bang me, where are you going?"
Pretty thirsty, good night.
"I'll buy you dinner tonight, Goodnight, but first I have a little official business to attend to." "Yes, I saw that official business," she says, implying Anders. "Goodnight, would I do that to you after 2 years of waiting on me?" "Yes, you bloody well would." And spoiler, he does. Yet it's somehow even worse.
Oh, it's so much worse.
This is Moore's Bond at his most dickish. Probably Bond at his most dickish. He is just mean instead of charming the entire film.
This film made Bond to be an ass.
An asshole.
Oh my god. He is an awful person in this film. Which, James Bond is a 00 agent, right? He's got to be, by nature, not a very good person.
Yeah, but as I will discuss later, there's a difference. Bond walks up to Anders' room with champagne and tricks a porter into opening up. Inside, he posts up and pervs on her in the shower for a good bit before saying, "Good afternoon." She comes out of the shower with a gun. "A water pistol?" he quips.
Oh my god, this scene. This is wrong on so many levels. You're just gonna stand there and watch a naked girl break into her room?
Well, you remember when Connery in Thunderball did this to Volpa?
Yeah, it didn't seem as disturbing, though.
Well, he walked right in, and she was kind of like covered. All he could see was her back. She immediately saw him, and like when she asked for something to cover up, he made the joke with the shoes. It's just different. He's just literally sitting there just watching her naked this time for a while without her knowing it. It was weird.
It's very pervy, very weird.
She demands her robe and tells him to leave, but he's stalling, so she gets on the phone to ring security. He uses the opportunity to grab her pack of cigarettes of golden bullets and says, "I see why these carry a government warning." She slams down the phone and demands he returns the pack. Now, before we unload what happens next, I want to complain about the sound mixing in this scene. But to be fair, it's most likely the failure of the boom operator in this scene and not the sound mixer. Bond moves to hand Anders the pack, but drops it as she's reaching for it, while knocking the gun from her hand and throwing her on the bed, pinning her with her arm ratcheted behind her back. This was one of the fastest action movements in a Bond film so far, and they did everything I just said in about half a second.
It was super violent looking. Supposed to be.
She says he's hurting her arm, and he says he'll break it if she doesn't tell him where those bullets go. She says it'll be her death, but he tortures her until she whimpers, "Scaramanga."
It was an ugly scene.
She reveals she's Scaramanga's free-use sex toy he indulges in before he kills people. Bond asks where he is, and she says she doesn't know, so he slaps the taste out of her mouth. She swears she doesn't know, but Scaramanga does have a date for the Bottoms Up Club tonight. "Girl, you live with him, don't lie."
She might not know where he is at the moment.
She knows where he is, and we'll get into that. Bond asks what he looks like, and she gives a generic description he calls out as weak BS. And learning her motivation later, the way she's acting now makes no sense, but that's just bad writing.
No sense at all, right.
She says he has a third nipple, but he says unless the Bottoms Up Club is a strip club and Scaramanga's performing, it's useless info. Girl, say he looks like Dracula, or Saruman, or Dooku, or Willy Wonka's dad. He threatens her physically some more, and she describes his white linen suit, black tie, and gold jewelry combo. Bond is fully aware she's likely to be shot for him just being there and rubs it in. He's such a dick about it, even saying the real pity would be the wasted cost of the gold bullet.
He is a super dick in this scene. It's not cool.
It's contemptible, offensively horrible.
It is.
Cut to the bottom coming up in the Bottoms Up Club, which of course is a strip club. Kinda. There's topless girls serving people at least. Like Wei Wei Wong here, serving Gibson, played by Gordon Everett, as in walks a man named Hip, played by Soon Tek-ho. Outside on the streets of Hong Kong, Bond checks his Rolex whilst smoking his cigar. And how much did Nikon pay for their logo to be keyed into frame like this? Cut to Scaramanga making out with Anders, and back to Bond, still staking out the Bottoms Up Club. As Bond waits, Knick-Knack walks up next to him, and they catch each other's attention. Knick-Knack walks off, and Bond walks toward the club as we pan up to see Scaramanga camping above in a casino window. He aims his gun as Bond walks into the street. Tidbit: the casino he's hiding in is the Golden Dragon Casino, which is the name of the casino in Skyfall.
The Golden Dragon.
They cut back and forth, the tension rises. Hip and Gibson walk out of the club, and a shot is fired, with all three men dropping. Christopher Lee's eyes are so intimidating, most of the tension came from them.
Christopher Lee is by far the best thing in this film.
He's up there, man. Him and Hervé Villechaize.
Seems to be the only person who kinda took this seriously.
Hip and Bond jump up, but Gibson is dead with a single shot perfectly between the eyes. Hip looks over at Bond, even though he saw Bond didn't shoot the guy, and puts Bond under arrest, walking away from the corpse and allowing Knick-Knack to approach the body. Hip is an idiot.
I mean, if you look at everybody else in that scene, the shot was fired, people dove for the ground, Roger Moore laid down, like, here I am, shoot me some more.
Bond says you can see my gun hasn't been fired, but Hip doesn't care. Hong Kong police show up in 1967 Land Rovers. Dope. Hip spouts some porno-babble and shoves Bond into a 1969 Mercedes-Benz Lang with a driver. As they drive, Bond's suspicious of Hip and asks for ID, and Hip blows him off again. They force Bond onto a boat, and he says he thought they were going to the police station. Hip just acts more sus. Cut to Knick-Knack, letting Scaramanga out of a 1973 Toyota Celica, and they go onto their boat as well, though theirs probably cost a lot more money. A traditional but modernized Chinese junk.
I love that boat.
It is hot.
It is. It's a super hot boat. All ancient on the outside, all modern on the inside.
Ooh. Has an autopilot named George.
It's a dope boat.
Down below, in the main cabin, which is absolutely gorgeous if you love brown.
If you like brown, this movie's for you.
He approaches Anders in bed. She knew he was on his ship. Just saying.
Did she, though? I mean...
Yes, because she immediately went there to fuck him before this hit.
But this was after the hit.
She was there before it, too, because he was making out with her.
Oh, that's right. So she knew where he was.
Yes.
And where he would be.
Mankiewicz is a bad writer.
He's a bad writer.
Back from the kill and super pleased with himself, he pulls out his weapon and points it at her before stroking her with it and rubbing it over her body. When she cringes, he gets pissed and forcefully rubs it over her lips like, "You better like to love it, bitch." It's an odd scene.
It is.
And it's gathered a lot of controversy, but I feel it perfectly lends itself to his character being a psychopath.
I gotta draw the line at gun porn.
I liked it. It's one of the few scenes I don't have a problem with, believe it or not. I feel like it goes a long way for stating how he is the way he is.
It goes a long way to show that Scaramanga is truly a sociopath.
He's a psychopath.
For sure.
Cutting back to Bond and Hip going through the Bay of Hong Kong, still going the wrong way for a police station, and Bond's had enough. When they pull close enough to the half-sunken liner from earlier, he tosses a life preserver and jumps aboard. He goes to make a great escape, but hears a voice over a tannoy. "Welcome aboard, Commander Bond." And a trap door opens. 'Cause, of course, this is a crappier version of two past bits in one. The rope-a-dope this time wasn't as clever. In fact, it was dumb. Idiot Hip should have communicated better. It's pure luck it worked out. Bond could have killed y'all.
Yeah, Bond could have killed y'all.
Also, the hidden home office in a submerged ship bit. But last time, it felt like someone built an office on a submarine. This time, it feels like they made the same shitty sets but slanted and called it good.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. Why do they transport M's office all over the world? That seems like an extravagant cost. And the other thing was, why does Bond immediately trust the first white man he sees? He was real sus until he saw a white dude in a Navy uniform. Could have been a Russian. He didn't know that dude.
The sunken liner here is the Queen Elizabeth, as I said before, which sank a few years earlier. But interestingly, was the ship that the Canberra stood in as in the final scene of Diamonds Are Forever.
Right.
Bond lets M know the man shot was the missing energy specialist M briefly mentioned in the beginning, Gibson. Also, Bond must not actually be a target or he would be dead. So, scrap the movie so far, 70s energy crisis plot, go.
Yeah, back to the energy crisis plot. Because somehow these are intertwined?
They're not. They fight each other instead of...
Bad writing. It's bad writing.
Instead of these plots working together, they literally, fight each other for time. Because as you can see, now we're completely on to a new plot. 30 minutes in.
Completely gone to a new plot. 30 minutes in, yeah.
Q is also at the meeting, and so is one Professor Fraser, played by Gerald James. Gibson was trying to get back to England, and Hip was making contact. This also explains why M is there, so I'll take it.
None of it makes any sense. This movie was bad. Nobody who read this had any of the same questions we did. No wonder critics didn't like this movie.
M blames Bond for losing Gibson and wishes the more expendable asset died. But bro, harsh. This guy saves the world 25 times in 60 years, and the 70s energy crisis was just a teaser preview for a future we're just now getting to. Relax.
Chill, he's got this.
So they exposit heavy for a second here. The gist is, the MacGuffin thereafter is a solar panel. Just a device that makes sunlight into energy. It has a 95% efficiency rating, which is literally impossible due to the second law of thermodynamics. Sorry, Newton says fuck off. Also, Gibson wanted to do full negotiations at Bangkok, which obviously means high fat. Shit, even Q knows everything about high fat. You don't know high fat? Loser.
Everybody knows high fat. I mean, come on. He's the largest energy manufacturer in...
Blah, 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 blah.
Right. High fat.
The sets suck. Cheap wallpaper and a serious overuse of brown that makes Diamonds Are Forever chafe. Why build an office like this? Just build a platform and make straight walls.
I thought the same thing. It's like, M's floor is flat.
It's not even functional. They have shit on walls in places you can't get to use them because of those stupid slants.
Not practical.
Bond says, let's go see High Fat. No one knows what Scaramanga looks like. He asks Q for a fake third nipple, which Bond calls kinky.
Just something that happens.
Cut to High Fat's estate. In real life, the Hong Kong Dragon Garden. Bond ditches Hip and climbs over the walls, showing no fear of the guards and walking openly. He comes upon a pool and a new girl swimming. She's played by Francois Thery, but dubbed by stalwart Nikki Vandersill.
Nice.
How's the water? Why don't you jump in and find out? Sounds tempting, Miss... Chew me. Really? Well, I have no trunks. Neither have I.
Chew me. I was just giggling about her name.
High Fat, played by Richard Liu, walks up screaming for Bond to get out as Bond removes his shirt, showing a third nipple. High Fat calls his guards off and asks the faux Scaramanga for forgiveness. Pardon my surprise, I thought it was understood we were to never meet. Bond bluffs that a man named James Bond has changed the game by being at the Bottoms Up Club. High Fat doesn't care, but says, come back tonight for dinner. Bond walks up to Hip, who can't believe he got to talk to High Fat. Bond says he even invited him for dinner, finding him quite titillating as he removes the rubber nipple.
Where do you get those? I want a rubber nipple.
From the Q Branch Laboratory.
They then drive off in Hip's 1968 Mercedes-Benz 220. As it's revealed, Scaramanga was watching them through binoculars the whole time. He was already at High Fat's estate, and High Fat bullshitted Bond into bluffing buffoonery.
Yeah, I don't get it. You know it's a scam. You know this dude's gonna cause issues. You have him at a disadvantage. Put a bullet in him.
High Fat telegraphs his own death, and we cut to later that night. Coming out of the hotel, Bond tells Goodnight that he would rather have dinner with her, but he will be back for a midnight snack. She says she'll keep the wine chilled, and everything else warm, I hope. Bond says, building up the girl's expectations again. All the while, Hip is getting the car. Now, Soon-Tech O said when offered the part, he doesn't do servant boy or driver roles, but here he is, getting the car for the white man.
He's, serving and driving in the same role.
In the back of Hip's car are two schoolgirls, Hip's nieces, Cha, played by Joey Vejajiva, and Chara, played by Kwei Yun. Hip drops off Bond at High Fat's gate and says he'll drop off the girls and be back. Bond walks in brazen as hell, they're convinced he's Scaramanga. He walks through a statue garden Knick-Knack is hiding amongst. And it's important to mention that when meeting High Fat earlier, we could see two sumo statues, but as Bond walks past them now, they come to life and go after him.
They are well done, camouflaged to be statues, and they hold so still you could never tell the difference. That was sarcasm.
Bond knocks one out immediately, but the other traps him in a bear hug, squeezing the life out of him. Bond grabs the man's ass with both hands, each firmly squeezing a cheek. He then twists the man's mawashi into a thong, and the sumo lets him go, just for Knick-Knack to knock him out from behind with a toy trident.
And you said people did their own stunts in this?
It gets better.
Okay.
Knick-Knack goes to skewer Bond with the trident, but High Fat stupidly stops him and says, "No, this is my home. Take Mr. Bond to school." For no reason but to pad out the film and because martial arts were in at the time.
Chinese are very spiritual. A death in a home of your enemy can bring bad juju to your house.
Fair enough.
However, they don't address that at all.
We cut to Bond in a gi and being pampered by women. He thinks he's in heaven, but they open the sliding walls to reveal he's in a martial arts school. The school, in real life, is Muang Puran, or the Ancient City, the world's largest outdoor museum, housing scaled-down versions of famous buildings and temples of Bangkok.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Two dudes come out and fight to the death. Another dude comes and gives a demo before they make Bond fight him. But when the mustachioed martial artist bows before the fight, Bond just kicks his teeth in.
Why are all these Chinese dudes doing karate?
Well, these are Thai dudes now.
And they're still clearly doing karate instead of Muay Thai. That just goes to show that they didn't have any experts on this movie at all. For anything. Nothing.
I like how Bond showed no deference to the schoolmaster at first, like, yeah, whatever. But after sucker kicking that dude, he proper bowed at the master, like a middle finger.
Yeah, definitely.
That was cool.
Definitely a middle finger.
This causes the badass in black named Chula, played by Yao Lin Chin, to get up and onto the mat. The crowd goes wild chanting Chula's name. It's like Stone Cold just hit the ring. Bond and Chula bow, with Chula never taking his eyes off of Bond, so Bond extends for a handshake. Chula slaps away his hand and they fight. Bond is Bond, so it's no complete squash match. But let me put it this way. Bond, realizing he's fucked, knocks Chula over for a second, quickly bows, and cheeses it diving through a window. A convenient window, as Hip and his nieces were right outside of it in their car.
Perfect. Perfectly planned. All of the windows in there, he jumped out the one in front of his getaway car.
The school sends everyone after Bond, and when Bond goes to protect the nieces, they push him back and kick ass. They even kick Jackie Chan's brother in the nuts.
That was Jackie Chan's brother?
No, he just looked like him and I'm being racist. I'm sorry.
This scene bothered me a little bit. It's like, why did he send the students out in waves? Do you notice that? He sent out a few guys, they get their asses kicked. They wait a few minutes, he sends out a few more guys. They get their asses kicked.
No, what happened is they all came out and they all did their blocking and they were at different distances up to like 60 feet back for some reason. And then they all just waited back there until it was their turn to come up.
Yep.
So, to escape, they all jump in Hip's car, and he floors it, taking off so quick that they leave Bond. And haha, funny bit, I guess, in your Bond film, stupid as fuck. But the girls are literally yelling at Hip, and he keeps going.
Like, he's just gonna drive off.
Hip is as stupid as Tom Mankiewicz is.
It boggles the mind sometimes.
With no other option, and the man with the golden gun refrain blaring, Bond jumps onto a long-tail boat and keeps the pursuers at bay with the spinning prop saying, "What you might call a Mexican screw-up, gentlemen." Bond takes off, and the karate goons run off to find boats of their own. Bond's head start is threatened when his engine cuts out. Meanwhile, the best character in the movie finally appears. This kid, played by Sayan Jantanarat, is on a tourist boat with a wood-carved elephant trying to pedal it. 60 baht. Pretty lady, elephant. 60 baht. No dice. He dives off the vessel and swims to Bond's boat. Cut to the karate kids getting into a boat, and back to the real star climbing aboard Bond's boat. Elephant, Mr. 100 baht. Heh, he takes Bond for a sucker.
This kid.
They cut back and forth between the Gee goons catching up and the kid haggling. Real elephant, 60 baht. The tension rises. You are very handsome men, 40 baht. For you, Mr. 20 baht. Tell you what, Sonny, I'll give you 20,000 baht if you can make this heap go any faster. The kid releases the reserve tank line and smiles big, saying, 20,000 baht. But Bond catches sight of his pursuers again and says, I'm afraid I'll have to owe you, and pushes the kid off of the boat before speeding away, leaving the kid swimming and cursing, bloody tourist, 20,000 baht.
You know what that scene reminded me of? $2. I want my $2.
A rich white man abusing some
Abusing a
small
child.
minority
Yes.
child.
Yes.
This is what that looked like to me. I like how that made people laugh in the 70s, and if someone just randomly saw it 50 years later, they're like, did that guy go to jail for that?
True story.
The chase is on, and Roger is legit speeding his own boat in the sequences. They are legit going fast, and there's no undercrank. That's a recurring theme this movie does get right, is most of the time, the actors are in the cars and boats. Not every time, but most of the time.
Most of the time.
Bond zooms past a tourist boat and sprays a tourist who's got a lip full of dip and racism that won't quit.
Oh.
Yep.
My God.
That guy. Sheriff J.W. Pepper decided after the events of the last movie that he needed a vacation. And for some reason, he decided to pack his white robes and head to Thailand and Hong Kong. Again, for some reason.
Well, Thailand is a popular vacation spot for racist white men to go abuse little Asian people.
With their wife?
Oh, sure, why not?
Guy wanted Clifton James back, even though it didn't make much sense and doesn't belong here. So, here he is, saying things I won't repeat.
Oh, super racist.
And he brought his wife, Maybelle Pepper, played by Jay Sedow. Due to some boat traffic, Bond gets away enough to launch a surprise ramming attack and speeds through their longboat, cutting it in half. J.W. Pepper witnesses this and is racist about it. He thinks he sees Bond, but says, nah, can't be, as an elephant tries to pick his pocket, so he slaps its trunk. The elephant knocks him down and into the river, but this was not scripted. The elephant knocked him down 10 feet onto a mud bank, and they had to treat him and then film an insert of him falling into water.
Really? I did not know that. Kind of an asshole for smacking that elephant. I thought that too.
Cut to Haifat's estate, and we see Scaramanga approaching Haifat in his office. Scaramanga says Haifat's underestimated Bond. Haifat says he'll lie low and gives Scaramanga the Solex agitator. Haifat talks shit to Scaramanga for a second, and then says the problem is Bond knows about Haifat now.
Oh, yeah.
Scaramanga says that's no problem. Now, it's important to note that the entire conversation, Scaramanga has had odd objects, such as a lighter, cigarette case, and a pen in front of him. Along with a cufflink from his sleeve, he's been assembling these together the entire time to make his titular weapon. So, upon saying it's not a problem that Bond knows who you are to Haifat, he shoots the man dead. In like the balls, I think.
I think he likes shooting people in the balls.
I think he likes shooting dudes in the dick, dude.
And here's the other thing. You're not going to notice this guy putting a gun together?
And you know what it is.
He's the man with the golden gun.
And you're the only one who knows what his face looks like.
Granted, his back was turned for most of it, a little of it, some of it. But still, he turned around with plenty of time to realize he was putting together a gun.
A man rushes in asking about what happened. Mr. Fat has just resigned. I'm the new chairman of the board. And that's what I call a hostile takeover.
Like, what? This dude's whole troop base was just like, okay.
I don't even know how this worked, but I guess it's all his now.
Yeah.
You keep what you kill.
You keep what you kill.
He always did like that mausoleum. Put him in it. Scaramanga coldly pays off a poor setup from earlier. The golden gun was real and functional. A gunsmith in England found a way to assemble and disassemble the parts to make the gun they had rigged to fire blanks. The entire thing was gold-plated. Christopher Lee hated it and said it was impossible to put together when he could look at it, so he had a hard time learning to do it while not looking, which he achieved while practicing whilst watching telly.
Well, there you go.
Cut to the hotel and a performance of a traditional Thai dance of women wearing full glittery garb and mukatas. Bond meets Goodnight for dinner, and the waiter presents a wine. Compliments. Phoo, yuck, Bond exclaims, reading the label. Sipping, he says he approves. Not of the wine, of her frock. Tight in all the right places, not too many buttons. Bond smooches some more and proposes sex. Goodnight says she's tempted, but killing a few hours as a passing fancy isn't quite her scene, even though she's been waiting for her turn the whole movie.
It's ridiculous. Bond is such a fucking lech in this movie. It's worse than any of the other movies we've seen so far, and I don't think it's going to be as bad.
I just don't know how Roger Moore didn't have the charm.
Right.
I can guarantee it was the directing.
Yeah.
It's Guy Hamilton's directing. As she walks off, we pan behind Bond and see Scaramanga's junk in the bay with knickknacks spying on them. He wasn't on their radar before, but he is now.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Back in the hotel room, Bond is undressing and cursing the shitty wine when Goodnight comes in wearing a nightie, saying her hard-to-get act didn't last long. Lame. They get on the bed and kiss. She's so happy. She's saying she thought this would never happen. Just then, someone starts to break in. Bond covers Goodnight and hits the lights, aiming at the door. Anders walks in, and Bond hits the lights, saying, "Oh, Miss Anders, I didn't recognize you with your clothes on." Under the sheets, Goodnight looks pissed.
I love how he uses her as bait in the bed. Like, if anybody walked in with a pistol, shot the lump in the bed, thinking they were killing Bond, they'd have killed her.
He slaps her ass and says, "Oh, the 3-pillow trick," in front of Anders.
Right?
Anders confesses she sent the bullet to London with his number on it, because literally everyone knows who James Bond is except for Harold Strutter. She wants Scaramanga dead so she can leave. She'll pay him anything, including herself. He wants the Solex. And again, the sound mixing is terrible in this scene, with background noise coming in and out with the dialogue.
It's very inconsistent, this whole movie.
Anders goes to prep herself for intercourse, and Bond shoves Goodnight in a tiny wardrobe to listen while they bang.
The door was literally a foot away from the closet.
2 hours later, when he lets Goodnight out and claims the line of duty BS, Goodnight threatens to quit. Bond says, "Your turn will come." Bond is the absolute worst he'll ever be in this movie. Piece of shit dickbag. It's not even cool or admirable. He's a dick to literally everyone, and at his most violent towards women with his most callous attitude toward them.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. He is the absolute worst.
He laughed about Anders, how this would probably get her killed, and said the waste would be the bullet. And he literally just was just like, "Yeah, your turn will come." After she had to listen to that.
Right.
Being detached at a girl's death, a la Craig, is one thing, but leading girls on and banging other girls in front of them is another.
To be fair, he wasn't leading her on. He was totally going to bang Goodnight until something else walked in the door.
Oh, that makes it so much better.
No, it does not. It makes it absolutely worse, Matthew. Absolutely worse.
Exactly. She's got the female equivalent of blue balls. She's got blue oves.
Absolutely worse.
Hard cut to a kickboxing match. A real one. They just shot the rodeo, as they say. Goodnight and Hip are around as Bond walks up to Anders. He sits next to her, both looking forward, and he keeps talking to her, but she's not talking back. He looks over, and she's been expertly shot, just at the lapel. Don't ask how her neck muscles are still holding up her head. I guess rigor mortis set in instantly this time.
She's in a perfectly seated position looking like she's still alive. People just don't die like that, especially when you shoot them in the fucking heart. You also don't get a little trickle of blood. Just saying.
Bond rifles through her purse as Scaramanga sits next to him. Bond, not knowing still what he looks like, thinks him just some rando, and says, "Oh, we can't get through customs without the ticket, darling," to explain his rummaging. "You won't find it in there, Mr. Bond. I checked before you came. And don't grab your gun either. Look behind you." No, lower, as Knick-Knack reveals himself with a pea shooter at Bond's back.
Oh, a little 22 Derringer. It's a perfect gun for a little guy like Knick-Knack.
Scaramanga reveals his professional respect for Bond, and even is grateful for meeting him, even if it cost him a cheating mistress. He was also pleased with the difficult shot.
Well, it's all about the shot for him. Scaramanga's a hunter.
Bond sees the Solex on the floor, and I don't know how anyone missed it earlier if they were actually looking for it here. Lieutenant Timing conveniently shows up at the right second as a peanut vendor, so Bond can feign dropping a bag to pick up the Solex, and drop the Solex as money in the vendor box, letting Hip escape with it. So convenient, it's bullshit.
It is, pretty bullshit. Nobody noticed that? Like, that thing is the size of an old school 8-track almost. You don't palm something like that easily.
Hip runs out and gives the Solex to Goodnight before going back to help James. Cutting back, Scaramanga says, "I love you, bro. Don't test me anymore, okay?" and leaves. Goodnight, having previously been told about Knick-Knack and now seeing him, follows Knick-Knack to Scaramanga's car, a rusted champagne-colored 1974 AMC Matador coupe. AMC, being the car manufacturer that shelled the cash this time, got this and a different Matador model for the cop cars and a Hornet for Bond in the chase coming up.
Say what you will, but AMC made some of the dopest cars
For like 5 minutes.
of the day.
Too bad no one bought them.
Yeah, I know, right?
Goodnight pops the boot of Scaramanga's ride to pop in a tracking device, but Scaramanga catches her and throws her in. Bond can't find her and scoffs, "Women." He radios her, and she says she's in their car and describes it as it passes them. They scramble into Hip's car just to realize that she not only has the Solex, she has the keys. She's as big as an idiot as Hip is.
You have a sticky device transmitter. Why try to put it in the trunk?
They're both massive cock-ups in every chance they have.
I suppose it was supposed to be funny, right?
But it's not. It's stupid.
Yeah,
If they did this to Connery, this franchise wouldn't have lasted this long.
right. It's not even funny.
It's not. It's broken.
Yeah.
Bond, out of options, runs into a car dealership showroom and steals a 1974 AMC Hornet X, driving out of the showroom by way of the window. The store was real and was told that they'd be used for filming and wanted to look their best, so they waxed the floors. This caused the tires to become very slick when spinning out on the floor to do the scene, and the car is really sliding out of control when exiting in the frame here. The stunt driver was able to swing the whips around in a way that made him U-turn, and over the radio, the director and the producers were like, "Go! It's good! Catch him! No matter what!" Also, Roger isn't driving, but Clifton is strapped in there, and Chris Lee is driving his in this, as an uncredited stunt driver. Now in an unplanned position, this is why we get the two-wheeled median drive to catch up, because he really was in a chase at this point.
That's funny. Don't stop filming. Just go.
Just go. Oh, did I mention J.W. Pepper was in the car Bond steals? 'Cause he was. While on his racist vacation, he decided to go to an AMC dealership in Thailand and think about buying a car.
First of all, why would you go car shopping in Thailand? How were you planning on getting that fucker home?
That's what I'm saying. It's like, why do you want to test drive in Thailand?
And then, why would you go to an American car company that you could go to in America?
So you could pay more for the same car through transport and customs?
Yeah, none of that made any sense to me.
Nope.
It's the forcing of the JW on us, I know, but still, so stupid.
So Pepper freaks out as Bond whips around, but then says, "I know you. You're that secret agent. That English secret agent. From England. Who we chasing? Commies? Let's go get 'em, boy. I'm with you all the way." He also continues the racism.
I've seen movies in the 70s. They're not all racist.
No, but this guy is.
and they thought his racism was comedy back in the day.
But it is not.
It is not.
If this guy makes you laugh, I have news.
You're racist.
The cops join in the fray in their matadors, and the chase winds through the city. It's not as crazy and cartoonish as the chase from Diamonds, and feels more like a real chase, with well-executed maneuvers like a J-turn reverse at speed.
Yeah, that was sweet. That was so smooth. That's what I was saying. It's like the stunts were okay.
A 1955 Chevrolet 210, driven by a local, crashes in the chaos, and the patrol cars can't go around him, I guess.
Typical Hollywood. Oh, everybody fucking stop your car because we can't go past this car.
He also hit like fruit and vegetable carts to flip.
Yeah.
Pepper tells Bond to take a left too soon, and they end up on opposite sides of a river, so Bond, seeing a twisted, destroyed bridge that's actually a purpose-built ramp, lines up to take the jump. This stunt was first successfully performed in an AMC Javelin at the J. Milligan Hell's Driver Thrill Show, and Guy Hamilton wanted it in the movie. They had to special build the car to be perfectly balanced and centralized, with the driver now in the center and Bond and Pepper dummies flanking him. The stunt driver, Lauren Bumps Willard, did it perfectly in one take, as computer models were used to map the stunt originally.
Really? They used computer models to map a stunt back in the 70s?
Yes.
There's a dope stunt. And a nice Evel Knievel shout-out.
Bond hits one twisted ramp and launches through the air, doing a full barrel roll before perfectly and safely landing on the other side and driving off. Oh, and they ruin this amazing fucking stunt with a slide whistle. Scaramanga ducks off into a garage and, hitting a few switches, changes his car into a plane. Welcome back, John Steers.
The Matador plane. They really built that motherfucker.
Kinda.
They really built it. It existed.
Kinda.
And it could fly for about 1,500 feet.
Kinda. So let me explain. What you're seeing is just special effects and miniatures. They built a car with the plane that they can attach to it and drive around. It will not take off. They used miniatures for the car going through the air. But there was a real car conversion that this was based on, and was going to be in the film with its creator piloting it, a la Little Nelly and Thunderball. But the guy killed himself flying the real one before they could shoot. Scaramanga takes off in his plane car, leaving Bond without the Solex, and also without Goodnight. J.W. Pepper continues his rampant racism. Goodnight jimmies the boot lid open at over 1,000 feet and decided to just let the rest of the movie happen to her from here on out.
Yeah, stupid. It's dumb. Whole movie is dumb.
Cut to the tilted office aboard the sunken Queen Elizabeth. M chews Bond out. Even Q is there, adding more political opinions instead of gadgets. Why does Tom Mankiewicz hate Q? Give us Q, and give us Q gadgets, not nipples.
Although Q did stand up for his radio wave detectors, like, hey, they're just not doing it right. And M had to shut him up.
They tracked Goodnight's Homer to Scaramanga's island, and Bond wants to fly in low under Chinese radar, saying they'll never see him. So, cut to him flying low and them immediately seeing him.
What did he think? They didn't have anybody on the ground?
Right?
Like, this is China. It's like...
We got the most amount of people to just put in places like that.
Right?
He's lucky Scaramanga said, nah, it's cool, he's with me.
Right? Because the Chinese military would have shot him the fuck down.
Movie over. Roll credits.
Done.
Bond lands his RC-3CB on the island, and Knick-Knack comes out with a tray of champagne, saying, "Da plane, boss, da plane."
Da plane, boss, da plane.
You knew it was coming.
Oh yeah, you had to.
Okay, he actually says, "Bonsoir, Monsieur Bond, Dom Perignon 64? Well, I prefer the 62 myself. Referencing a line from Dr. No where he's offered Dom, and Bond says he prefers the vintage from 2 years before. Also, some believe that these are actually Easter eggs about the Bond universe itself. In Dr. No, they say it was a reference to the books released on those dates, and in this film, it's a reference to the films released those years. 64 is 64, by the way, if you don't speak French.
Oh.
Scaramanga shoots the cork from the bottle as a vulgar but irresistible display. He's so excited to see Bond again, especially knowing now it will come to a duel. He puts down his gun, calling it harmless, and says he's now completely unarmed. But as he says this, he's offering Bond a cigarette from his case, and if you're smart, you know that that was a lie. He has everything he needs to build his golden gun. the weapon he doesn't see as a trinket.
Or a harmless toy.
He wants to relish this moment, so he offers a bit of time before the showdown. He shows Bond around, bragging about the knockoff Ken Adams set design. He shows off his solar energy lab, which he says he somehow inherited. But A, you stole it, and B, why was it built on your island in the first place?
Right.
It's all fully automated, and Craw, played by Sonny Cardenas, is the sole employee as maintenance and security. He also bragged about Knick-Knack being a cordon bleu.
That's quite the achievement.
Yeah, especially when you can't see over the oven. Bond somehow knows how everything works, and even what they're using, such as liquid helium, which he also knows is 450 below zero.
Yeah, when did Bond get his physics degree? I was wondering about that, because he had a full comprehensive knowledge on the working of energy production there.
He took a second in Cambridge.
All of it was bullshit, of course, but whatever.
I don't know, it's not bullshit. 450 below is exactly the temperature of liquid helium, and that might be what they're using, but how the fuck would he know all that? Just off the cuff.
Right.
Bond tells him not to stick a finger or anything else in there. Okay, James, only you want to fuck it.
Yeah, only you want to fuck it.
At the collection point, we see a huge device with a focus point that houses the Solex and some ugly welds.
Yeah, that seemed a little lazy. That whole set seemed a little lazy.
When the wall opens next to the collector, a huge solar reflector array pops out of a rock formation for tracking and reflecting the sun to the collector. And why did Hi-Fat build this on his island? It was asking him to kill you.
The physics of this movie bother me so much, too.
They're magic.
Yeah.
The collector, now lit, shoots a beam into its Solex well, and Bond says the beam must be 4,000 degrees. If you say so, Mr. Bond. Scaramanga is unimpressed with Bond's info brags, but what Scaramanga is impressed by is the super laser that comes with the setup, something to use the extra energy on for no extra charge. He aims it at Bond's plane and says, "This is the part I really like." He blows it up with an invisible laser, because they never composited one in, and says, "That's what I call solar power. I am undeniably the man with the golden gun." At the table, Goodnight finally shows up in a bikini. Guess she's been having fun in the sun. "To us, Mr. Bond, we are the best." Bond says he's full of shit. He hates Scaramanga, despite all the fawning respect. He hates that Scaramanga calls him a killer, even though he is.
They're not very different in this movie. Bond is just as much an asshole as Scaramanga. Probably worse, Scaramanga seemed to have a little more honor, to be honest. In this particular movie, Bond is an asshole.
Irredeemably so.
Irredeemably so. And Scaramanga does have honorable traits, even though he's a psychopath.
Scaramanga has been noticeably fidgeting with his golden objects and reveals he's assembled a golden gun now aimed at Bond. "I could have shot you when you landed, but this duel between titans is our masterpiece. My golden gun against your Walther PPK. Don't ruin this, and let's go." Bond questions Scaramanga's gentleman status, but accepts. To prove your point, he's treating Bond with respect, and he's sitting here literally talking shit to him.
Yeah, to prove my point.
Cut to later on the beach. They're back to back, guns drawn. Knick-Knack is calling out the rules and paces. Cut to Craw, eye-raping Goodnight. She better get away from him. That's the look of a hungry man about to get him some meat, even if he has to kill his prey.
And it didn't look like he was acting.
Jesus.
To be fair.
Well, maybe they're boyfriend and girlfriend in real life.
Britt Eklund, he was like, "I'm gonna fuck Britt Eklund tonight."
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
They raise their guns and start walking. At 20 paces, Bond turns and fires in the same stance his funhouse mannequin holds, but Scaramanga isn't there. Cut to Craw, getting handsy with Goodnight when he's distracted by the console. Then back to Bond, who's looking for Scaramanga, but finds Knick-Knack, who says, "If you kill him, all of this will be mine. This way, Mr. Bond." Hervé Villechaize is actually kind of cool and suave, and from the mouth of every woman who's ever met him, a total horn dog.
Yeah. He's a highlight in this film. It's otherwise travesty of a Bond movie. He is definitely a highlight.
He's incredibly memorable.
He plays his role well. Maybe a womanizing little man, but he's a good actor.
Knick-Knack leads him to the house, and Bond threatens to kill him, but he's too cool, so Bond leaves him to run off to his little control room. Bond makes his way through the funhouse, wasting his ammo on the same tricks. He sees the dummy of himself and keeps searching. But Bond finds the game wall and uses his speedrun glitches to go underneath the map. Ban him, he's cheating.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, once again, Bond finds a way to work outside of the rules of the game.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's it.
Knick-Knack can't find him anywhere on any of his monitors playing the dailies. He may be off map, but he drops his gun, which hits the scaffolding and makes a loud clanging. Scaramanga is noticing that Knick-Knack isn't saying anything, and he hasn't seen Bond in a bit. So, with the tension rising and the music building, he leaves his camp spot to find Bond. As he's passing the Bond dummy, it moves and shoots him, 'cause surprise, it's Bond standing there in a could-be-clever but was very obvious trick.
Very obvious trick.
We then cut to Goodnight, who hits Craw into the liquid helium for attempted rape. Fair.
Fair. I give her that.
Unfortunately, this causes instability and, of course, the destruction of the island for some reason.
Because, physics are magic.
They're literally trying to pretend that his body temperature was going to raise all that helium up 450 degrees. That's not how thermodynamics works. Also, once he's frozen, he can't heat shit up. When she finds Bond, he says Scaramanga is flat in his coup de grace. She says she knocked Craw out cold. Get it?
Yes, I get it.
He says there's more to her than meets the eye. Transformers? As the place starts going crazy, they run to get the Solex. Bond goes into the well to get it, and Goodnight backs into a button with her ass. This turns on the beam next to Bond, and he freaks out. A cloud covering the sun stops the beam for just barely long enough for him to get the Solex, and they cheese it. Even falling at one point when Brick Eklund really tripped on the set, and they left it in.
The tension of this scene was so forced and ridiculous.
Well, they tried to make it comedic, not tense.
Right.
In typical Bond fashion, they escape the explosion just in time and steal Scaramanga's junk to sail away on. Well, I guess by this movie's rules, he inherited it.
You get to keep what you kill.
You keep what you kill, bitch. The island explodes. The ship sails off, and we cut to Bond going downstairs to bang Goodnight, finally. As they start to get busy, a roof panel slides open, and we see Knick-Knack getting ready to pounce with a blade. She sees him and screams, giving Bond time to roll away. Knick-Knack lands on the bed and drops his knife. He kicks Bond in the shin and hides underneath furniture. He runs up from nowhere and pushes Bond over, before scrambling off again and throwing wine bottles at him. Bond grabs a suitcase and traps Knick-Knack inside. Now, in the original cut, he threw the suitcase overboard, but they reshot it to have Bond just cage him on the mast instead.
Yeah, because test audiences were like, oh my god.
I mean, I guess we can trap big people and we can kill big people, but not little people. Does that sound equal to you?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Well, he's already pushed a little child into a river.
Oh, and that was okay.
They're like, oh, maybe we don't want Bond to seem like an asshole.
Oh, too late. James gets back to Goodnight as a phone raises and a call comes in from M. Somehow, on Scaramanga's junk.
Yeah. What, does M have remote control over the phone?
They didn't even know what this guy looked like a few days ago. How do you know he's on his boat and got his number?
Right.
Great job, Bond. Is Goodnight there? Hold on, sir. He makes out with Goodnight for a moment, and M says, Bond, are you there? Goodnight. Oh, she's just coming, sir. Goodnight. 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 Goodnight, sir, he says, hanging up. Cut to the exterior as the junk sails away, the band strikes up, and the credits roll over a water scene.
Is that why there were ripples in the title?
Fuck off. I'm giving this movie an F+.
Oh.
I have a biased nostalgia love for this movie because it just had a lot of playtime in my house when I was a kid, and that still won't save it here. The song is terrible. The writing, the characters, insufferable. Bond is unforgivable. The dueling plots, pun intended, are at odds with each other when the only tweak needed to make it work better is not letting them know about each other so soon. Keep Bond thinking. Scaramanga's after him till the climax. The best things about this movie, they ruin themselves, like the slide whistle.
There was so much wrong with this movie. I'm also probably going to give this movie an F. There's so much wrong with this movie that the things that are right are shining bright moments in it that almost take you out of the movie because they're done so well. But overall, this movie's a travesty to Bond films. Straight F. It's not Casino Royale, but fuck, it almost is. No, seriously, it's got the only thing it doesn't have is multiple Bonds. It's offensive.
I want to go off on a tangent here. I was thinking while watching this movie that Live and Let Die and You Only Live Twice get such a bad rep as racist and problematic. But they're two of the best so far and the least problematic.
Yeah.
The villains in Live and Let Die weren't buffoons. They were well-dressed and articulate, suave and cunning. The racism existed, but it went both ways. In The Man with the Golden Gun, we have way more racist dialogue, and it's out of place here with Pepper in Thailand just being himself and no one giving it back in any way. It just feels like Asian hate after a while.
It does, right?
The Japanese disguise in You Only Live Twice was Japanese agents hiding a white dude on a Japanese island to save the world in universe. Every movie before that had white people in the real world cast as minorities, just playing them. What's more problematic?
Yeah, like seriously. This movie was overtly racist. Asian racist. Like, I get that the Vietnam War thing was a thing, but it's still, fuck this movie.
It's bad.
It's bad.
The kill count. How many people do you think Bond kills in this movie? And I'm going to tell you you're wrong.
I think he only kills one person in this movie.
Oh shit, never mind, you finally got it right. Congratulations. Holy fuck.
Yeah, he only kills Scaramanga. There was no big shootouts, there was no fucking war scenes. None of that action.
Wasn't even in the pre-title. Speaking of pre-title.
This one's getting put on number 9 on the list, man.
Damn.
Even Dr. No had a better pre-title sequence.
And
it
really
didn't have one.
If you're just catching up on the series, as we've said before, we do count the first couple scenes as its pre-title.
Right, yes.
Just for ranking purposes, and because it kind of feels like it should have been.
Yeah.
The pre-title is kind of fun, callbacks to past movies, and all kinds of setup, but it does spoil the ending. If you're not an idiot, Bond never shows up also, so 8th place.
8th place. There you go.
Title or theme?
I am also putting this pretty much on the bottom of the list because the song hurt me. The title sequence was not quite as all over the place as From Russia, but it still sucked really bad. So that combined with the song.
I mean, From Russia was just lazy. It was just like, let's project the credits on this dancing girl, but at least the song didn't make me want to bang my head into the table.
Exactly. So, yeah, did I say 9th place there? Yeah, 9th place.
I hated it. Lazy autopilot titles and frantic, annoying theme that I'll admit if you dig will be awesome, but once again, not my bag, baby. 8th place. Moneypenny pickup line. He says she's better than a computer, and she says you never use me. 7th place. Better than nothing, I guess.
I also am going to put this in 7th place because it is better than nothing. Yeah.
We've had some nothings. Q gadgets. What gadget? A nipple? 7th place. Only better than lint. I also am going to put this in 7th place. Cars. Bond drives the AMC Hornet, and it's pretty cool. Fast. Lots of oversteer. Can do a barrel roll. 5th place.
I'm going to put this in 6th place.
I liked the AMC Hornet. I liked it more than the Mustang.
Oh, yeah.
Main ally. It's hip. Absolute cock-up. A Philistine and a pillock had a baby. It was hip. At least KFC Felix stayed out of the way instead of actively fucking up. 9th place.
9th place. And yeah, 9th place. Yeah. That's where this is going. 9th place.
Villains. Francisco Scaramanga. circus trick shooter extraordinaire turned million-dollar-a-job hitman. He was played to be Bond's equal, and it felt like it the whole time, even if Bond didn't like it. Christopher Lee brings the gravitas and tension to this film with just his eyes, and as Carter said, it really felt like almost more of a vehicle for him at the end. 5th place.
I will probably put this... I'm going to put this in also 5th place. And I'm going to tell you why I'm putting this in 5th place.
Lack of motivation?
Yeah, he's not the best villain. Like,
he's Christopher Lee. He could have been first place if they wrote him to be anything.
Right. He's like very easily first place villain in his acting, but his whole villainy was like
middle of the road or worse. Well, actually worse. That's why he ended up in the middle of the road.
What the fuck? 5th place.
Main Hinch, Knick-Knack, written as Demi-Task, is a midget manservant henchman who almost kills Bond and gives more of a fight than others in this film. He's also memorable as fuck. 5th place.
I'm going to give him 5th place as well, because he is definitely better than, what's her name from OMSS?
Bond Girl, Agent Mary Goodnight, a pathetic, annoying, dumb fuck-up, then hands the Solex to the bad guy and almost kills Bond on accident. 9th place.
Really? 9th place?
That's what I said.
I'm gonna have to agree. Probably the most useless Bond girl. Actually, hindering. 9th place.
One-liner. Well, at least he died happy. 7th place. Roger's too cold this time, and the jokes are worse than ever.
I picked, you don't know the journey that bullet's been on, and I'm gonna put this in probably 8th place. Yeah, 8th place. Because none of the one-liners really, none of them really hit. But at least we got a poop joke, so.
Locations, and you know how I do this. Beirut, Macau, Hong Kong, Bangkok, Phuket.
This is getting a 9th place. The locations are gorgeous, but we didn't really get to see anything but alleys and fucking hallways, and the only time we really got to see any kind of decent location is the flight at the end of the movie.
I disagree with you completely. The bay, the sunken ship, the Hong Kong Dragon Garden as Haifat's house, the museum as the school. There were some amazing locations. They had the girls dancing and showing off a lot of their culture as well. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say 4th place. They chose their locations well. They worked with the story. They showed off culture, and they showcased exotic and unseen destinations, including what has become known as the James Bond Island, which was, at the time, pretty much deserted and is now a tourist spot.
Didn't really even get to see that till the end.
But they still had, these were all their locations, and it still did all that throughout. I disagree with you. 4th place. I actually think they showed off shit people had never even seen before at the time.
Yeah.
Protracted attempt to kill Bond. I chose the karate school. That's the only one. It's the karate school because the duel was an active attempt.
Yeah.
But he watched matches and a demo before anyone cared at the school. I went 5th place. For me, I enjoyed the sequence more than Connery being buried with a rat.
I was thinking about a protracted attempt to kill Bond in this movie, and I guess I'll have to agree with you that it was the school because there is really nothing else. Were they really trying to kill him?
Yeah, that's why they showed the two dudes fight to the death in the first match. So, like, you get it in your head that they're there. He's there to be killed.
Yeah, I suppose. But I'm putting this in.
Would you prefer if they had animals?
8th place? No, I'm so tired of that. I'm putting this in 8th place.
The mission or plot: find a hitman before he finds you and solve the 70s energy crisis. 2 plot points, often at odds with each other, fighting for screen time rather than telling a coherent and flowing story. 6th place.
And I will also put this in 6th place. 7th place. Sorry, 7th place.
7th place, yeah.
Yeah.
Care to
tell you why? No, you really illustrated the point. The plot was all, there were for multiple plots, and they didn't gel.
Tonal fuckery.
Had they focused on one plot or the other, might have been a better movie.
Stunts. You can't blame the stunt guys for a slide whistle, and that's the coolest stunt, at least so far. Multiple great chases, Christopher Lee stunt driving, Pepper strapped and hanging out of a car at speed, Some good stuff here, for real. And this is all you get, movie, but you pulled this off, so first place.
First place. For stunts?
It's all you get, movie.
For stunts?
For stunts. In my opinion, they had the best stunts in the franchise so far. Hands down.
Now you have me reconsidering my decision.
I mean, they fucking barrel rolled a car over a river.
That's a dope stunt. There was some good stuff. I gave it a third place on mine. Better stunts than Live and Let Die. But YOLO will always have my heart for all of the action sequences in that movie.
Score.
This movie's getting 8th place, just above Dr. No. 8th place. It sucked really bad, but the refrain was okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. The refrain was all right. The song was horrible.
I wrote effective and non-offensive, but sadly, that's all I can say about it, so 5th place. Middle of the road you are, and middle of the road is where you go. Movie.
This movie was awful. It was overtly racist. You had no empathy for any of the characters in it except the villain.
I cared for Britt Eklund, and then she got annoying.
Oh, at the beginning, you cared for Britt Eklund, then she got annoying. Yeah. No. Overall, none of the characters in this movie, except for Nick Nack and Scaramanga, had any kind of personality, and that's including Roger Moore. I put this movie a solid 8, just above Dr. No.
Wow.
Because Dr. No was a bad movie.
But it was not as terribly as offensive as this for me. Not as, and it was at least a little bit more fun for me.
Yeah.
Dr. No. This movie has about everything that can go wrong for it, doing so, besides the stunts for once. And again, they still managed to fuck that up. I've said enough. 9th place. And again, that's from someone who for some reason has a childhood attachment to this movie. It's offensively terrible in every way and boring at times. And as they said, Bond will return in The Spy Who Loved Me, and so will we. Until then,
I'm Chris Carter.
And I'm Agent Sedgwick.
You stay spying, y'all.